you are the only person who is creating roadblocks in your weight loss journey. I understand there is conflicting information online about intermittent fasting and calorie restriction, but at the end of the day, it is your ability to stay consistent on a particular dieting pattern which will ultimately get you results. There is a trend to believe that intermittent fasting is superior to calorie restriction, but in reality, it is not. In this video, we will compare intermittent fasting and calorie restriction so you can make better decisions in your weight loss journey. First, when we talk about intermittent fasting and calorie restriction, the whole focus is weight loss. We're not talking about in the context of building muscle, and we have to remember that at all times when we're discussing this topic every single day. If you don't believe that calories are real, then I want you to understand the study that I'm about to explain. I have gone over this study a million times. I have put it on my Instagram and even on my longest podcast, but coming back to that, they separated individuals into two groups. One was intermittent fasting group, the other one was calorie restricted group. The intermittent fasting group was advised to eat between noon and 8 p.m., while the calorie restricted group was advised to eat whenever. What they found was the intermittent fasting group had significant losses in lean body mass around their arms and legs, the appendicular lean body mass, which suggests that a lot of their lean body mass was reduced due to muscle because there are no main organs around your arms and legs. And calorie restricted group did not really have that compared to the intermittent fasting. And so from that study, it is quite clear that even if you are intermittent fasting, you generally have to believe in calories and understand that you need some form of calorie restriction during intermittent fasting, and that intermittent fasting is not magical, because once you go on an intermittent fasting routine, and if you believe that it is magical, once the weight loss plateau occurs, you are more likely to cut out specific foods like carbs and fats in order to continue your weight loss. And I think this is a very unhealthy approach, because that will result into springing back into your original weight. And unfortunately, in some people, it may cause binge eating disorder and other eating disorders. Now that we know that intermittent fasting is not magical and calories are real, let's look at what would happen if we combine intermittent fasting with calorie restriction versus calorie restriction without intermittent fasting. And so there is a study. This study was published recently in the New England Journal of Medicine. What they looked at is if we combine time-restricted eating, which is just a fancy word for saying intermittent fasting, with calorie restriction, and if we compare that group with the daily calorie restricted group, what would happen? And so they took 139 individuals randomly assigned into the two groups, and the people were obese. They had no diabetic issues and even heart issues, so that's a good thing here, because that would be a lot of confounding variables. The men ate 1,500 to 1,800 calories in both groups. Women ate about 1,200 calories. The entire duration of this program was about 12 months. Physical activity also remained the same, which is also critical when we are comparing two groups. We need variables to be constant. Time-restricted eating and calorie-restricted group had all their calories between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., while the calorie-restricted group was allowed to eat whenever possible in that 24-hour period. Here are the results. In 12 months, time-restricted eating and calorie-restricted group lost about 8 kilograms, and calorie-restricted group lost about 6.3 kilograms. Yes, we can argue that time-restricted eating plus calorie restriction might be a little bit superior in terms of weight loss, but when we do statistical analysis, when we pull out averages from both groups, when we take the average, meaning the sum of all people, statistically analyze these data, we found that there is not a lot of difference in terms of weight loss between these groups. And so what the researchers concluded is that when we are trying to focus on weight loss, this data doesn't really show that intermittent fasting plus calorie restriction leads to greater weight loss compared to simple calorie restriction. And so I think this is really interesting, because what my conclusion would be from this study and what I've read from the literature is that we have to use intermittent fasting as a tool and not some rigid rule in our lifestyle. If intermittent fasting makes you miserable, hangry, and just creates this tendency to binge, then it is not for you. Intermittent fasting allows us to be in a calorie deficit effortlessly, because what you're doing is, when you time restrict, when you're not eating food, your gut reduces in volume. And so I think there is a component of the strengthening of the signals between your gut and the brain. And I think that is very, very critical for people who are severely obese. We need that so that they could really sense what they're eating. Sometimes it's just easier not to eat than eat multiple meals. I'm kind of that person, so I do intermittent fasting during my cutting phases. But a person who has a metabolic rate that's high, who is eating 3,000 to 3,500 calories to just maintain their weight, they might not be interested in intermittent fasting. And I think choosing a window that is easier for you to stick is the most essential takeaway from this video. If you're looking to intermittent fast, I'm not gonna say which is the best, because it is up to you to choose which intermittent fasting window is the best for you. You don't really have to have one meal a day in order to achieve fat loss or weight loss. You can do it in any sort of eating window, in any sort of calorie requirement. And so I'll give you my template. Here's a template you can steal if you want to do intermittent fasting for weight loss. Currently, I would have 3 boiled eggs and a cheese stick plus a protein shake in meal number 1. The goal is to get 50 grams of protein in the first meal. The second meal would be my pre-workout, and that is a banana or 2, and this would be generally like 30 minutes before my workout. And then if you are not into working out, I would skip this. I urge you to work out, because it's gonna help your weight loss, preserve lean body mass, and have positive psychological effects as well. Then the large meal would be getting at least 1 gram of protein per kilogram of my body weight. At 77 kilograms, I would get about 77 grams of protein. Additionally, I would aim to get 15 grams of fiber from beans, lentils, berries, and even a supplement is fine here, because it's really hard to get fiber in. I think more than the protein if you are intermittent fasting hardcore. And then I would end with a dessert. And yes, I like having something sweet at the end of the day. Side note, I am doing a 30-day sugar challenge to prove that you can lose weight while preserving lean body mass while eating sugar. And if you want to follow that journey, head over to my Instagram. You will find the reels that you are looking for. There's also more day-to-day stuff shared in the stories, so I urge you to do that. I already have lost about 2 to 3 pounds in this whole week just by eating a candy bar. I hope you like this video. I hope this was helpful in terms of deciding on what to choose as your weight loss journey, right? This is conflicting information online. I think this video may help you in terms of achieving your weight loss goal. I hope you like this video. Hit the like button, share, subscribe to my channel, because more healthy tips, tricks, hacks will be coming through either YouTube videos or podcasts. I'll catch you in another episode of The Patel Perspective or another YouTube video. Thanks for watching.